The O'Reilly Factor is on tonight.
You are being watched. The government has a secret system, a machine that spies on you every hour of every day.
No longer a science fiction fantasy. The U.S. government may be tracking your every call and keystroke. What is behind this unprecedented intrusion on your privacy? We'll have an investigation. Hi, I'm Greg Gutfeld in tonight for Bill O'Reilly. Thanks for watching us. The bombshell revelations about our government spying on us, that's the subject of this evening's Talking Points memo. So, if someone asked you, do you wish 9/11 never happened, you obviously would say yes. If you were then to ask, do you wish there had been a system to catch those terrorists before they attacked? Yes to that too, which is why the NSA data scoop is a tricky thing. If that program had existed 12 years ago, 9/11 might have been stopped. But that's the problem with proving a negative. If you prevent a terror attack, how do people know the benefit of that? It hurts my brain just thinking about it. But the White House claims this mass grab of phone records did stop one attack, which makes you wonder, if a security program like this wasn't present and that attack hit, would we now clamor for one? So the question really is, do you forfeit the ability to find a needle in a haystack if you live in that haystack? Well, sadly, whatever this snooping amounts to, it didn't stop the Boston bombing or Fort Hood, the strangest case of workplace violence ever. Sorry, if Fort Hood is workplace violence, then the Hindenburg was an air show. But Fort Hood did happen not because of lack of intel, but lack of will. We were scared to call terror what terror is for fear of appearing bigoted, and that opened the door to the devil. So it's not about surveillance, really, but an administration who cannot use it properly. Sorry, I just can't trust a progressive government, given their nature to defend America's critics rather than our own values. If America were a car, the left would root for rust. And we can't feel too safe when one arm of the government, the IRS, is already targeting decent Americans. Seriously, we've had the DOJ, the IRS, and now the NSA. Any more scandals, and we'll need to move on to the Greek alphabet. And that's the memo. Now for the top story. The government's secret surveillance program is bigger than first reported. As the Washington Post revealed, it's not just Verizon phone customers whose data is being mined. Big Brother is spying on the internet as well. Joining us now from D.C., Washington Post investigative reporter Robert O'Hara, the author of the book, No Place to Hide. So, Robert, assume I am an idiot, which most people do, including members of my family. Lay it out for us. Who's doing what and where?
The program's called PRISM, and it's a great code name. It's vivid. It involves something that we've known has been going on for years now, which is a partnership between the government and private sector data collectors. In this case, we're talking about Microsoft, Americon, Line, Apple, and others. And essentially, it amounts to the NSA having what appears to be direct access to those servers in an effort to find foreign nationals that they believe may be involved in nefarious activities.
So basically the goal is, terrorists calling someone in America or vice versa and being able to flag that. And you can't do that. Can you do that any other way without this sort of mass data collection?
Well, there's a lot of different ways you can do data collection. They're saying that this isn't mass data collection, but of course, there's no way to know, and that's probably the key problem here. And by the way, I don't see this in any way as a Republican or Democratic type issue. There are people that are trying to protect the country, and they're operating behind a cloak of secrecy. And I think that many Americans would say that's intolerable because we don't allow unchecked power in this country.
Well, okay, in plain English, again, are they reading our emails?
Yes. Apparently, they're not just reading emails. They're collecting videos. They're looking at memos, documents. And if you expand this more broadly, they're they're collecting data about telephone calls. My suspicion is that what we're looking at is the proverbial tip of the iceberg, and that the data collection is far broader, massive, much more intensive than what we're seeing here. But in this program, what we know for sure from, in any case, what we've heard from the president and from intelligence officials is that they are going into these systems and they are collecting information, and it is helping them on apparently hundreds of cases. They say that it's narrow and focused on foreign nationals. We're going to have to see. It seems likely that some of this data collection is going to be involving American citizens.
What do you know about this terror attack that was thwarted? I heard was it a subway, targeting a subway in New York, or do you have any information on that?
I don't have any information on it. But typically, it's very, very hard to extract information about successful counterterrorism, counterintelligence efforts, because officials are, the intelligence community is exceedingly worried about showing their sources and methods. I'm not sure, even when we do hear about these cases where instances were thwarted, we're going to be hearing the full story. But the answer is no, I don't know about that case.
I think when people first hear about this story, they're shocked at the sweep of it. There's millions and millions and millions of data. But what do you compare that to? I mean, what is the other option? Do you just make people feel better by only looking at some data and not all of it?
Well, my view on this, having worked on my book for more than a year and inhabiting this world, it's very simple. Data and technology is a very powerful tool for protecting national security. It'd be hard to argue that. I think, would expect our leaders to use these tools if they weren't using them. I think that the problem here is that it's happening so often behind a cloak of secrecy that we don't really know how they're using it. And in my investigation of simpler data tools by law enforcement, over and over again shows that if given a chance, they will abuse them.
Hey, I got one quick last question. Why was this brought to the attention by The Guardian and not by a U.S. paper?
Well, the Washington Post actually broke the story first, 20 minutes or so ahead of The Guardian. But it appears that there were leaks to two different sets of reporters.
Okay. Thank you, Robert. Next.